MSNBC's Rachel Maddow, the queen of the Trump Deranged liberal, snaps live on air and has a mental breakdown so bad that 60 years ago, she would have got thrown in a straitjacket for it. This happens because, as she admits herself in this video, people have largely moved on with their lives and aren't obsessed over the Trump Deranged, Hitler 2.0 doomsday rhetoric that MSNBC and Rachel Maddow relies on. And because she's such an egotistical, self-aggrandizing sociopath, she cannot accept the reality that she is irrelevant. And this is what causes her meltdown. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel, but here she is acknowledging that people have moved on from the Trump derangement because the threat to democracy prediction hasn't panned out at all.
And it is now an undeniable thing. We have crossed a line. We are in a place we did not want to be, but we are there. The thing we were all warning about for the last few years is not coming, it is here. We are in it. This is what it likes, it turns out. This is what it's like, right? It's August, it's a Monday, every day the sun rises and the sun sets, and there are, sports and movies, and there are new hit songs, there are scandals here and there are crimes. There's everybody's personal quotient of family drama and health worries and money worries and falling in and out of love and in and out of faith. Life has not stopped, and none of our personal lives have stopped. But also, at the same time, life in the United States is profoundly changing, is profoundly different than it was even 6 months ago. Because we do now live in a country that has an authoritarian leader in charge.
The reason Rachel Maddow's audience, just like Stephen Colbert and the rest of the entire Democrat mainstream media's audience, has collapsed and abandoned them, is because they're tired of being forced into a panic every time they turn on the news and then going outside and seeing that everything that they're being told is happening around them, the sky is falling, volcanoes are erupting, isn't actually happening, and people are living their lives normally and happily. And Rachel Maddow acknowledges this, but because she's a talentless partisan hack whose entire brand is just bashing Donald Trump, not accurately or objectively reporting the news, she relies on peddling misery and fear. She doesn't like that people have found other things in their life that are more important than being brainwashed by Rachel Maddow that every day they wake up, Donald Trump is just coming for another one of their rights. And this causes Rachel to descend into this delusional schizophrenic monologue where she begs and pleads with the people who have moved on with their life to be just as Trump deranged as she is for the sake of the democracy, and conjures up this fake scenario about Donald Trump's authoritarian takeover that is so imaginative, so fanciful, it would make Walt Disney blush. Watch.
We have a consolidating dictatorship in our country. And it sounds melodramatic to say it, I know, but just go with that for a minute, right? Think in melodramatic terms. Think in cinematic terms. Imagine the cartoon-level caricature of what you think a dictatorship looks like.
Okay, I had to stop it there because she's literally prefacing to her audience to use their imagination because what she's about to describe doesn't actually exist. She's doubling down on the same strategy that lost the Democrats the election. She doesn't understand that it's this nightmarish or cartoonish, as she might say, rhetoric. That's exactly what people don't want to hear. They don't want to be frightened by the mainstream media anymore, especially when they can see with their own eyes that what they're telling them isn't true. But let's get back into this rant.
Right, in that kind of a cartoon caricature of an authoritarian country, the one you might have imagined in melodramatic and cinematic terms ever before we got here, you would expect, right, that you'd have a scapegoated minority group blamed for all things. In our case, immigrants. Right? And the new extraordinary powers and shows of force by the secret police, among other things, all these extraordinary powers and shows of force will be framed as necessary to stop this terrible internal enemy. Right? Frame everything as immigration enforcement. Because for immigration enforcement, not only is all force justified, but maximum force is preferred. And they're trying to make it into a national entertainment to threaten to feed immigrants to alligators in South Florida. Right? They're making them eat off dishes on the floor like they're dogs.
The reason this kind of messaging is failing is because the majority of Americans don't have this weird liberal radical, self-hating guilt for being American. Most people don't hate themselves so badly that they have to force themselves to accept illegal immigration as some moral repentance. That we're obligated to let in 20 million people into our country unvetted, undocumented, because we wake up every morning crying and feeling sorrow about the atrocities committed by our forefathers. But people like Rachel Maddow do because it's trendy, it's fashionable in high society circles. They think it makes them look compassionate and socially conscious. And let me pull back up that picture of the detention center she showed at the end of that. So the first and most obvious thing I notice is the end of the headline says, "Report alleges." Well, that gives away the whole game. You're not trying to be a credible source of information. You're trying to desperately latch onto anything that can help push your narrative, no matter how unbelievably dishonest it is. And while the headline talks about detainees having to eat on their knees like dogs, let's take a look at this picture. I see a basketball court. I see a sand volleyball court. These people have shelter. They have free medical attention. They have 3 meals a day. And they're all just outside enjoying some recreation time while they await deportation. This is the complete opposite of what a concentration camp looks like. Do you think the Nazis built a baseball diamond for the prisoners in Auschwitz? But it doesn't matter to them because dishonesty is the purpose. Inflammatory, exaggerated language is the purpose. Inflammatory, exaggerated language to spark emotional outrage is the point. Again, once Democrats concluded that a man can become a woman, it's consistent that all their other beliefs are built on a foundation of quicksand. Basic immigration law enforcement is seen as an authoritarian takeover to them because they live in a fairy tale world where everything is fairies and rainbows and butterflies and singing wilderness animals. Humans are all peaceful, they're all good, they're all nice, they're kind, they're virtuous. Human nature doesn't exist. We don't pursue self-interest. We're all united together in the global cause for social goodness. And that's how they view reality. So of course the enforcement of laws is basically getting your rights taken away. But here she goes again, just really trying to convince people that there is so much authoritarianism. Just look around, it's everywhere. Watch.
We are not heading towards something like this. We are there. It is here. It is the environment in which we are now living. And so, given that you now live in a country with an authoritarian leader, the question is, what can you do for your country? The question is no longer how to prepare for this risk or how to try to avert it, but rather how to fight it now that it is here and in effect. And, you know, we're awake now. It's clear. We're all living here. It's very obvious that this is not going to get better on its own. What else do you think of when you think of authoritarian countries? I mean, in the worst case, you think of death camps. We don't have those.
She started off with the most pretentious statement possible. So since it's obviously true that I, Rachel Maddow, decree that you are living under an authoritarian regime, it doesn't matter what you think or feel, I'm right, this is reality. And then goes on to begrudgingly have to admit, well, we don't have death camps yet. It's so gross that at this point, liberals actually want authoritarianism. Also, they can feel self-righteous, so they can tell us, I told you so. They're not rooting for the success of America because that would mean that they were wrong, and they're self-obsessed people who think they're moral and intellectual arbiters. Remember, they wouldn't stand for the kid who survived brain cancer who was made an honorary Secret Service member simply because Donald Trump is president. They want Donald Trump to usher in death camps, that way they can feel vindicated, that they didn't lose the election because they're extremely insufferable people. They were on the right side of history all along, just like they knew in their pretentious Democrat crystal ball. But again, people aren't listening because that's not the reality they see when they walk out of their homes every morning. They don't see the sky falling. They don't see the economy tanking. They see their 401ks going up. They see energy costs going down. They've likely gotten a pay increase at work. They see the border secure. They see every major trading partner agreeing to new trade agreements that are extremely favorable to the US. They see Democrats firebombing Tesla dealerships. They see them rioting in the streets of Los Angeles. And that's why Rachel Maddow has to be extremely colorful with her description of what Donald Trump is doing. Because she's hoping that her passionate, schizophrenic, oh, the microwave is actually talking monologue will drag people from reality back to her hole of misery, kicking and screaming. Now, what you're probably thinking is, Brandon, there's no way any rational person believes what she's saying. And I would say you're correct, but we do know that the Democrat Party, despite being historically unpopular, still has a 19% approval rating. And let me give you a glimpse of what this 19% looks like and what they believe. Here is a lady freaking out and screaming at a Republican congressman in a Nebraska town hall. Take a look.
My question is fiscal. With 450 million FEMA dollars being reallocated to open Alligator Alcatraz and 600 million taxpayer FEMA dollars being used to now open more concentration camps and ICE burning through $8.4 million a day to illegally detain people, how much does it cost for fascism? How much do the taxpayers have to pay for a fascist country?
That was in Nebraska tonight at a town hall held by Republican Congressman Mike Flood, him hearing from his constituents tonight. We have total clarity now on what Trump's intentions are for the country. But I mean it when I say we. The country gets it and is more against it than they've ever been.
And that's what's left of the Democrat Party. Miserable, unhinged, violent people with no personality other than Donald Trump bad, who think that they sound sophisticated by using words they don't understand. Part of the reason the Democrats have lost such credibility is because they dilute, if not completely change, the meaning of existing words. Fascism is just enforcing the law. Detention centers are now concentration camps. A Nazi is anybody who disagrees with a Democrat. An authoritarian is the democratically elected president using the powers bestowed to him in the Constitution. A woman is anything you want it to be that day. And any follow-up question to that statement is transphobic. Racism is having an opinion about a person of color that's anything except for they're stunning, they're brave, and they're perfect. These people have no interest in the truth or reality or the definition of words, but yet they'll tell us they're the super educated ones. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on those notification bells so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.